So I'm going to show you kind of start to finish. Um, so if you don't see your screen like mine, let me know. So on the left over here is if it's on library up here, this is everything you've already downloaded. So you can go to it quickly, but we're going to import your photos, the favorites I picked, and I'm not sure how many I picked, but we're going to see here. So we put that in capture Aloha. So again, this is the Mac H. This is my computer, and then these two are my hard drive. So this one's full. This was the one I'm using currently. So I go to capture Aloha and already put them in here. So I just gotta find them. Sparrow family. Oh, there's a folder within the folder. So anyways, click on that, it says no photos. Go down to the arrow and they should be there. Okay, and then I import, and I just these are just JPEGs, but what I want to do should be fine because they're big enough files as long as you uploaded them to PixieSet in, full size. Okay, now they're there. So when I narrow them down, again, let's pretend there's 1,000 photos here or whatever. So I actually leave it in library, go to down here to make it full screen or, bigger. Instead of grid, you go to lower left and the full photo. And I'll scroll through with the arrow button. And let's say we're just going to use hypothetical. I already kind of narrowed these down. There's only 42, so I'm probably going to be giving them all. So anyways, I'd go I like this one, so I'm going to star it. So that first star, and then I go a couple more, and I'm like, I like that one. If you're going through a couple that you're like, well, I like that one, and then this one's similar. I like them both because later I'll just delete one of them, whichever I feel to. So once you get all of these, let's say you star 100 out of 1,000 or whatever it is, then you push your / key, which is the key that is below the delete key. When you're in library is when it only does this. So you go / goes back to grid just because that's what it does, and then you go to attribute and you click on the one star, and then it pulls through the ones that you liked. Okay, so we're not going to do that now because whatever, it is what it is. Now in the same view, if you have two lenses or two cameras, you go next to attribute, you go to metadata, and let's say you did flash with one and then natural light with the other. So you don't want to be editing every other photo or every 10 photos. They're a different total type. Just helps you go through without being distracted, so you're editing everything the same. You can pick so it looks like you used a 16 to 70 and a 50 millimeter, so you can click on whichever one and that just shows those photos or just the other photos or both. And then if you use more than one camera, it would show you the different cameras on the left over here. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Now we can go back out of here. That's how I basically do it. I get the photos to where I want to store them first, then I pull them into Lightroom, because wherever you pull them into Lightroom, it's going to remember where they're at, and if you move them, once you move them, it doesn't remember, unless there is an unless you go up here to catalog settings. Now if you go in here and you click on this button, which is automatic rate changes the XMP, which I actually I'm gonna start doing, because if you do that and you move them, it doesn't matter because that XMP file is going to be in that same folder wherever they're at. So then you can move them, you can put them anywhere and it'll recognize it. So I would say if you're not worried about space, just click on that automatic. That way, if you ever move it, you don't have to worry about it not recognizing any of the edits you did. I learned that the hard way, but I learned a way around it. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. This could be confusing. This might get confusing for you, but hopefully not. Okay, so now we're going to go to editing. So anyways, we got what we want. These are starred, but it doesn't really matter because I'm not going to separate them. So we'll go right into develop. And these are great, so we're not going to do anything with these. These ones are better, definitely, and probably just fine. I still think they're a little bright, so I'm just going to play with some stuff here. Bear with me. Bring the highlights down. Even more, because if you bring those down, see how they're much darker, and then you lighten the whole picture up, it lightens the background. And I like that. Let's see what it was. So that's what it was, which it's almost too much. It's a pretty contrasty, but that is, might even take the shadows down a slight bit. But their coloring is pretty good. Again, they're in the sun, so orange, it's like you almost can't do the orange. Now, this is where the batching comes. So I would just take anything that they're in the sun, which would be these down here. So I would click on mine, it says 18, push shift, and then it does that block. That's the best way to, so you have to push a shift button, otherwise you have to command click every one of them, but it's easier if they're all in order in a line. You push shift and then it gets them all. And then I go synchronize, and that's it. Again, when I push sync, this box comes up. Have everything checked, but the brush, local brushes, crop, spot removal, because those will be different in most every photo, unless you're using a tripod and the subjects haven't moved. So you don't want to copy those over because it'll be different every time, and then you'll forget one day, and then you'll send a client with a weird spot on their face and you didn't catch it. Okay, so those, let's go ahead and look through them. And I would actually come back to this one and just crop it a little bit in. Just so they're not too far off center. This one, let's see what it did. This one's still a little too colorful, so I would just go to vibrance and just take a little bit out. That's good. I would actually add some blacks, which makes it a little richer. And then I'll previous this one. So you can add some color back to this one. And they're still pretty orange, so let's try some orange. And a little bit of blue. Okay, well that's good enough. These ones, to my computer to catch up. Come on now. Oh, and sometimes the computer is a little slow. I don't know why it's not changing the main photo. So I'll go back in and then develop again. There we go. Sometimes these are great, nice and yellow, and then these become a little blue from there to there, only because you switched angles, which is fine, and you're focusing on him, which is fine. I would have made sure he was looking at the little boy because it's focused on him. It's always good if they're not looking at the camera when it's out of focus, but just minor. I just add more yellow. Even more maybe. And then what happens when I add a little pink? I don't know. What I'm trying to do is just get these two similar, and that's pretty close. And then shift, go to the other one. That's the three that are there. Sync. And this one's good. I mean, it's shooting straight into the sun, so you got some clouds here. I think this is taken as best and edited as best as it can. This one's still a little bright, so we're going to take actually